guys, it's Jana and I am here today with my July wrap-up. Now, I was feeling kind of slumpy this month and there's probably a few reasons for that. A lot of it having to do with all of the new releases that I got, just not knowing where I wanted to start. But even though I was kind of in a slump, I still read 14 books this month. How, you might ask? Graphic novels, audiobooks, and rereads. That is how I read 14 books this month. So instead of going through and kind of listing off in order of what I read when I read, I'm just going to group the things because there are some books that I read in parts of series, and then the graphic novels, and then the audiobooks. So I'm just going to go through and group them, and like I said, I have 14 to talk about, so let's jump into it. So I'm going to start with the books that I actually own because it's the easiest, they're right here, and I can talk about them. The first book that I want to mention, Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I DNF'd this book, wasn't enjoying it, something happened, really didn't enjoy that, so I DNF'd it. I did a full video review on this book because I had a lot to say about it, so go ahead and click the book if you want to check that out and check out more of my thoughts. The next two books that I have are books 2 and 3 in the Land of Stories by Chris Colfer, A Grim Warning, which is book 3, and The Enchantress Returns, which is book 2. So I ended up giving both of these 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed them better than the first one. Well, now that I kind of understand Chris's writing a little bit more and I'm prepared for all of the he said, she saids, it was more enjoyable. I have not read the 4th one yet. I do own it. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. I kind of want to get to it soon because the 3rd one ends in a huge cliffhanger. We'll see if I get to it in August or not. And the last 2 books that I have that I actually own that I read this month were both rereads, and they were rereads for the 5 faves that is going on right now. So I have read 2 out of 5 faves. I don't know if I'm going to read the last 3 in August or not. I would like to. I'm going to try to. We'll see what happens. But the first one that I reread was Our Town by Thornton Wilder. This is one of my favorite plays. Honestly, I can't tell you why. I just love this play. It has always been one of my favorites. I like reading it. I like watching the play. It's just definitely one of my favorites. And the second book that I read during this reread, or the 5 faves, was Holes. I love Holes. It's one of my favorite books from when I was younger. In fact, I've read it like 5 or 6 times when I was younger. Rereading it now just brought back all of the good feelings and just, it's such a good book. And also being a fan of the movie, I was able to connect the movie to the book more now than I think I was back then because I wasn't really looking for things. But rereading it after watching the movie a ton of times, the movie is really, really close to the book. Like, it follows the book so well and it's just so well done. So pretty excited, and these are both favorites and they're rereads, so I kept both of them at 5 stars. So I was just kidding. I actually have one more book that I read this month that I do own. I just finished it last night, so it wasn't with my books, it was in my room. That is Darkly Dreaming Dexter by Jeff Lindsay. This is the first book in the Dexter series, which Dexter is one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite TV shows, and as I mentioned in my I Shouldn't Have Bought Books book haul, I'm pretty excited to read the books. I waited until after the show was over so that way it wouldn't conflict, and I'm glad that I did. I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I would have given it a 5 had I not seen the show first and had I not been such a big fan of the show, because it's a really short book. It's only 288 pages, so it's fairly short, and reading it knowing the first season so well, they added a lot to the TV show. This is the only one that the TV series is based off of, so it'll definitely be a surprise with the next 7 books in the series, kind of what happens. I did enjoy it. It was a really quick read. I almost read it in one sitting, but overall I really did enjoy it. Like I said, it was a quick read, it was entertaining, and it's Dexter. I love Dexter. And the ending, I prefer the ending in this book more than I prefer the ending of the first season. Overall, I did give this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait to jump into the second one. And now I'd like to talk about the graphic novels that I read this month. So the first 4 graphic novels that I read were the first 4 volumes in the Saga series. This series is so fantastic. It's pretty great. Everyone on BookTube is talking about it, it seems, and it definitely has reason to be talked about. So I picked them up from my library, didn't know too much of what to expect, didn't really know too much of what it was about, and just kind of jumped right in. It was interesting. Basically what Saga is about is two different worlds and two outlaws in those worlds kind of combining, and for one they created a baby, which doesn't happen, and if it does happen, the child normally doesn't live, but this one does, and the narrator is the kid. So it kind of goes through her saying, so this is what happened when we went and did this, and then you get the pictures and the dialogue. There's not too much writing in it that isn't dialogue, which I really enjoyed. I don't really like graphic novels that are really heavy on the descriptors and the writing. It's just, it kind of takes away from it being a graphic novel. Like, let me figure that out through the pictures. But this one did a perfect job and had a perfect mix between dialogue and pictures and other writing. So volumes 1, 2, and 4, I did give 5 out of 5 stars. Volume 3, I gave a 4 out of 5 stars because there was just some parts in the middle that kind of lagged and was really slow, and I just didn't really care about those characters. And so I ended up not enjoying volume 3 as much as I enjoyed the other ones. So I did end up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, but overall I'm really enjoying the series, and I cannot wait for the 5th volume to come out so I can find out what happens. And the last graphic novel that I read this month was Seconds, and this graphic novel was so cute. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The graphics in it were just perfect. The dialogue was fun and kind of catchy. And it was kind of really creepy. Like, it was a lot creepier than I anticipated it being. If you don't know, Seconds is about this girl who owns a restaurant and she lives above the restaurant, and one day she finds this random box or something in her dresser, and there's a mushroom in it with instructions saying, write down the mistake, eat the mushroom, go to sleep, wake up new. So basically by writing down a mistake that happened in the restaurant and eating the mushroom, she can change the event that happens. And she ends up finding more mushrooms and kind of abusing this power. The story goes through her trying to fix all of her mistakes and trying to make a perfect life. So I really enjoyed it, and I want to own a copy of this someday because the hardback is just beautiful, and I liked it. It was creepy. I wasn't expecting it to be creepy, and there were some aspects in it that reminded me of Death Note. The way that Liz would sit on the dresser and just anywhere else just reminded me of how Elle sits with, you know, on her toes with her knees up to her chin, and the way she would eat kind of reminded me of Elle, and then the whole writing stuff down and changing things kind of reminds you of the Death Note. That was the only parts that reminded me of Death Note because obviously the stories are so different. And now I'm going to talk about the audiobooks that I listened to this month. The first two audiobooks that I want to mention are books 4 and 5 in the Percy Jackson series, Battle of the Labyrinth and The Last Olympian, both by Rick Riordan. I gave both of these books 4 out of 5 stars. I'm so glad that I finally decided to pick up this series. I, again, have no idea why I haven't before, but I really enjoyed it. I think it ended out the series very nicely. Overall, I really enjoyed this series. And the last book that I listened to on Overdrive was What If? Serious Scientific Answers to Absurd Hypothetical Questions by Randall Munroe. I really enjoyed this book. It's a really pretty book, and if you are a science nerd, definitely check it out. I do recommend the audiobook because Will Wheaton reads the book for the audiobook, and it is just perfect. And I do enjoy science, so it was definitely interesting to kind of hear all these thoughts to all of these hypothetical questions, and it was just a lot of fun to listen to. And that is all the books that I have read this month. I kind of seriously failed a TBR takedown. That being said, I'm pretty satisfied with what I got done this month. Again, feeling kind of slumpy, so audiobooks and graphic novels were definitely a help, and it also helped that pretty much all the books that I listened to were middle grade except for a few of them. So it was an easy reading month, kind of flew through everything, which was pretty good. And thanks to Dexter, I feel like I'm back in a reading mood, which is perfect because Booktubeathon. I want to complete Booktubeathon. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it. What's going on? If serious scientific answers to observe, I am